He just has no idea what's about to happen here. Actually, I've been interested. Paradoxical Outcome is a card that actually has seen play in some of the older formats. We see in Vintage people playing it in combo decks, even a couple attempts at it in Legacy.
It's
haven't
really
seen it in Standard.
It's really good when you're returning a Mana Vault to your hand.
Yeah. I mean, we get Bonesaw in Standard, right? That's about the same thing.
It's comparable. You know, Moxen and Bonesaw have the exact same converted mana cost.
Which means they're almost the same card. All right, well, we're underway. Jessup starts out. He'll get a Thraben Inspector into play. And I think from Andrew's side, it's just wanting to see how fast he can get damage onto the table here. There's no removal. There's no control in Kevin's deck.
No.
It's a straight race.
You get comboed or you don't.
So hit with Inspector puts Kevin to 19. Now, with how the win condition, Aetherflux Reservoir works, some of this incremental damage could actually matter, I would think.
It can matter. I would not be the least bit surprised if Kevin already has some Ornithopters, Bonesaws, what have you, and he's waiting until he draws the Reservoir, because that life gain trigger, it does stack with the number of spells you cast.
Now, this is interesting. If he has one, he now has his first decision. Andrew's turn 2 play was Lambholt Pacifist, and if Kevin Davis does not play a spell here, it's going to actually flip into a 4/4 and be able to attack. So we see actually Kevin having to use some of his artifacts.
Yeah, he casts Hope of Giropur here. That is a 1-mana 1, so it's a little bit better to cast that one now. You can't do that the same turn that you start casting your Reservoir.
Yeah, this is a legendary Thopter. It's kind of similar to Xantid Swarm, if you know the card in Legacy. 1/1 flyer, so it can chip in a bit. It can sacrifice to make it so that another player can't cast spells this turn.
Yeah, until your next turn. It can be kind of a time walk effect. This deck doesn't capitalize on it as much as some other decks, though of course if your opponent is playing counter spells, it's great to get this in and then cast your Reservoir and your second main phase start going off that way.
All right, so Kevin didn't flip the Lambholt Pacifist, but Andrew Jessup will, so now it turns into a 4/4. And now we can see some stuff on Kevin's side. It is Cathar's Shield, Bonesaw. These are all 0-mana equipment. Tap 5, I love this. I think we're seeing Reverse Engineer, and we are. This is the improvised draw spell. So yeah, you had to play 2 cards that didn't do much, but then you just immediately replaced them.
Yep, and as I alluded to earlier, it's likely that he had some of these 0-mana spells in his hand since the beginning of the game. And you kind of want to hold those for the Reservoir, but it definitely makes sense to deploy them and make your Reverse Engineer come down sooner.
Now see, Ryan, he can make it a 2/4 blocker as well if he spends all of next turn equipping these things to Hope of Giropur.
I would be curious to find out how often Kevin is actually equipping his creatures.
Bonesaw maybe. Cathar's Shield, I don't know about that one.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's not the A plan. And what's nice here, cast a bunch of spells, that Lambholt Pacifist flip right back over on Jessup's turn.
I have cast 3 spells, right? So Andrew spent all of turn 3 flipping the Pacifist, and now it's back on the day side. Once again, it can't attack. Gideon from Andrew, next is interesting. If he makes an emblem, the Pacifist will be able to attack.
You can make an emblem or just plus the Gideon, and then it would be able to attack. Just checks for a different 4-power creature. I assume you just want to make a Knight ally here.
I think that's what he's doing. There was some... Yeah, that's what he'll do. If he wanted to get very aggressive, you know, he could have either made an emblem or he actually could have just plussed the Gideon, and then Lambholt Pacifist would have been able to attack this turn.
Right.
Gideon wouldn't have been able to, but...
Yeah. Does not have haste.
Right. But it is a 5-power creature.
That's the only limit on the power level of Gideon. This is a very good card.
And we're going to get to see some equip. All right, Hope of Giropur picks up the Bonesaw and attacks Gideon.
Bonesaw is ready.
All right, it's down to 2. One more of those hits and he'll get, Andrew's going to have to plus the Gideon. Now, Kevin Davis did not play a spell that turn, so Lambholt Pacifist does flip back to being a 4/4. That one doesn't matter, though, because I think he was expecting this play where Andrew pluses Gideon.
Yep, that is very likely that it's going to be able to attack this turn. The difference between 3 and 4 is fairly negligible.
A big swing of 12 from Andrew Jessup will knock his paradoxical opponent down to 5. You look at Kevin's hand, looks like a fistful of islands.
Yeah, I saw at least 3 or 4 islands in that hand. This is not a good spot for Davis.
Well, his land drop for last turn was a copy of Gearhulk Sanitarium, which he'll use to make both players draw and discard.
Yeah, and for his mana base, 19 islands, 1 sanitarium. So that's going to help him a little bit here.
I'm going to build this deck for F&M this week. This looks great. I mean, I hope I want to see it combo out. I don't know if we're going to get it this game. He's in a lot of trouble.
I really enjoy having 0 mana spells in a deck. Don't get me wrong. But this game is not really selling the deck to me.
Well, they have to be, what, to play 0 mana?
They come at a cost.
Yeah.
It's not a mana cost. It's a very different cost, as you see. Gideon, arguably the most powerful spell still legal in Standard, is doing a real number on Kevin.
Yeah, well, the issue is that Kevin doesn't have any board control elements. You know, these creatures, there's no removal, there's no blockers. Looking at Kevin's side, what does he have? Okay, we're going to look at a Inspiring Statuary. That's going to give his other spells improvise.
Non-artifact spells, keep in mind, so he couldn't do something like cast a Reservoir here. This card's really good when you're casting your Paradoxical outcomes, because you can cast them for just a single blue mana. But right now, Kevin's in a really precarious spot. There's a lot of power on the side of Jessup here. He can't combo off just yet. He has to actually stop from dying.
He's going to swing for 2. It looks like he's attacking. Now, there's a danger of Avacyn here, but Andrew will just go ahead and let Gideon go to 1.
If Andrew has Avacyn, it's already bad enough for Kevin.
And here is that Paradoxical outcome. It's going to target 3 of the 4 artifacts. Not even target them, he just gets to bounce them. So he returns the Heart of Girepoor and the 2 0 mana equipment to his hand, and he'll draw 3.
And he's really looking literally for Ornithopter to chump block on this turn. He's at 5 life, so he has to not get hit by the Gideon at all. And currently, the combination of the other 3 creatures, any combination outside of Thraben Inspector plus Night Ally, is lethal.
I mean, it looks like he's about to turn off from some way of winning. So he's got another Paradoxical outcome in his hand. So he could do something like play 3 more 0 mana cards, Paradoxical outcome them all back again. If there were an Aetherflux Reservoir in play, this would be a really monster turn for Kevin Davis.
Yep, and because he doesn't have the Reservoir, he's just not doing enough.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with this combo and you're wondering what's going on here, how Aetherflux Reservoir reads is it's an artifact that's on the table that when you play a spell, gain 1 life for each spell you've played this turn. So ideally, Kevin would have done that turn but had a Reservoir in play, and he would have gained 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and that would be a total of 28 life that turn. And then, okay, go.
Yep, and then you just cast Outcome on the following turn. You're able to recast all these spells, draw a bunch of cards, possibly get up to 50 on the following turn. And then activate it, do 50 damage to Andrew Jessup's face, game.
How it works is if you do 10 spells in 1 turn with a Reservoir on board, you will gain 50. That's the number you're hoping to hit. 9 spells is 45 life, 10 spells is 55. Now we're in business. The second mode on Aetherflux Reservoir is if you pay 50 life, you can deal 50 damage to a player.
I like the way that math works out. You have 10 spells for Tendrils of Agony.
It does have that kind of, it feels like Storm, we're counting to 10 again.
Yeah, it's like a hidden throwback.
I like that as well. If you do start with more than 6 life, with 6 or more life, you only need 9.
Sure. And if your opponent's at 18, you only need 9 from Tendrils. It all.
Okay, yes, it's the same thing.
It all checks out.
All right, we're going to go ahead and look at the sideboards. We'll start over with the metagame guru that is Andrew Jessup. Playing green-white tokens. We had that one. Saw that last week, and Hunter Nance playing it to a top 4 finish. His sideboard, he's got 2 Fragmentize, 2 Authority of the Councils. That one's for the copycat interaction. 2 Declaration in Stone, 2 Tireless Tracker, a full 4 Fumigates, 2 Ajani Unyielding, and a Linvala the Preserver. So he's got a lot of like mid-range creatures, Tracker, Ajani, Linvala. He's got some removal, Fumigate, Declaration. He's got his anti-combo piece. The only card I might think he would want would be maybe Fragmentize.
That's the only card he's looking at, and I'm assuming that Jessup is putting Davis on this Reservoir deck. I mean, what else could he possibly be doing? He cast a Bonesaw in game 1, So I'm going to assume that Jessup is going to bring in Fragmentize here. If Davis even had Reservoir, it's very unlikely he's able to combo off that same turn unless he already has at least 5 mana sources in play.
Yeah, it was like what I described last game. I said if Kevin had started this turn with a Reservoir in play, he would win. So it's kind of there's a setup turn of cast Reservoir, go, then that's like suspend 1, win the game.
Yep, and Fragmentize is going to tax Kevin even more for his setup.
I really do like that. On Kevin's side, he's got an Invasive Surgery, a Dispel, 2 Negates, 2 Horribly Awry, 2 more Metallic Rebuke. He has 2 in the main, so that's numbers 3 and 4. So let's just start by saying there's 8 counter spells. Then he's got 1 Engulf the Shore, a 3rd Aetherflux Reservoir on his board, a 3rd Glimmer of Genius, and then 3 copies of the card Crush of Tentacles.
I'm going to assume that this extra Aetherflux Reservoir is just anytime you assume your opponent is able to destroy the 1st and 2nd copies or counter it. So if you think your green and white opponent has an answer, and it could be a wide range of things in Standard, really, I assume we're going to bring in that Reservoir here. That just makes sense. The extra counter spells, particularly the ones that counter Planeswalkers. Negate seems great. Counter Nissa or Gideon. Metallic Rebuke will counter those same spells, and even Avacyn up the curve. That card seems great.
That is one of those interesting things about the green-white tokens deck, is that though it's a creature deck, Negate's actually pretty good against it.
And I see a strong argument for Crush of Tentacles as well, because Jessup, he's a little bit slower on the beatdown. It takes him some time to get on the table. So the Crush of Tentacles will be able to reset the game. You get an 8/8 for your trouble as well, pressure those Planeswalkers from there. And Jessup is very unlikely to have an answer to that Octopus in the post-sideboard games. He's not going to leave things like Stasis Snare and Declaration in Stone. So I like the Crush as a sideboard plan, just in general for this deck.
Yeah. So for those of you guys just joining us, we are going to be broadcasting on twitch.tv all weekend here on the SCG Tour. Come join us in the feature match area. Ryan and I will be here covering 9 rounds today. Tomorrow we'll have 6 rounds to finish up the Swiss, and then we'll have our top 8 single elimination. Join us over in the feature match area. Like I said, we'll be here the entire time. Also, we have the You Decide the quarterfinals, which means for all subscribers, when we make it to those elimination rounds, you get to pick the decks and players you want to see. Get that along with custom emoticons and a badge all over at twitch.tv/SCG Tour.
Get to see democracy in action for those quarterfinal votings.
I would vote for the Paradoxical Outcome deck if it's there.
Yeah,
I would do that. I am such a fan.
Kevin Davis has some work to do, but this deck is sweet. It does get me excited. Week 1, we really didn't see Inspiring Statuary at all. And this card just seems very pushed. It's quite powerful. It is on about the same power level as Coalition Relic, kind of as its floor. And its ceiling is it generates, 15 mana in a turn.
Yeah, these are these high upside COG style cards, right? It's like when your opponent's playing something like cast a card that like a statuary. You should just be so skeptical, right? Because for that card to be worth it in their deck, they have to be generating 10 mana off it.
There's some cards when your opponent casts them, you think their deck is either very bad or very good, and you're not sure which. Inspiring Statuary is one of those cards. They're either going to do something totally broken and destroy you, or they just don't really understand how to evaluate cards. And for Davis, his deck is very capable of just winning out of nowhere.
Underway for game 2. Kevin's just going to set up. His mana base just, other than that one Sanitarium, just all basic islands. He's really just hoping that Jessup has a slow start.
And in these sideboard games, he has much better interaction. He has those Metallic Rebukes, he has Negates, so he's not going to be just destroyed by a Gideon like he was in game 1.
Yeah, you know, it really was just Gideon. If you looked at that first game, it's not like Andrew's clock was that fast. He had a turn 2 Lambholt Pacifist, but he never got to attack with it. It was really just turn 4 Gideon.
Yeah, it took some time. You know, Andrew took a turn off to flip the Pacifist over. Davis flipped it right back. It took actual Gideon becoming a 5/5 for that thing to start attacking.
Andrew's going to spend turn 2 with a pair of Oath of Nissas. They find him a Canopy Vista, and it looks like a Heart of Kiran is the other option. Or he'll go for Westvale Abbey. Now, he did pass over one of those Fragmentizes in the Oaths, so yes, they have come in out of the sideboard.
I would assume that Jessup is Landlight if he's picking Abbey. Abbey is quite good against controlling decks. You're able to make the stream of tokens. Davis's deck is not the kind of deck where Abbey has very much power. If he had all the land drops that he wanted to make, I would assume that the Heart of Kiran would be a better pick.
Yeah, I was right. No, I normally thought he'd take the threat here. For Kevin, it's an end step Anticipate. All right, here we go. Ornithopter, Cathar Shield, boom, draw 3, reverse engineer. Love it.
Drawing 3 on turn 3.
Love it.
Not having to discard
it's
any
not
cards.
So much better than Painful Truths. Just, we can play it off only islands.
Basic island, basic island, basic island.
I don't know why Painful Truths wasn't just a mono blue card, which didn't deal you damage, right? Just blue, 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 draw 3, sorcery. Can't see what the problem with that is.
It definitely makes sense that you force players to cast Ornithopter to have access to this card, but that's a super good rate.
So Jessup, no real clock there. He spent his turn cracking a clue, making a land drop, and hitting for 1.
Yeah.
We might get to see this Paradoxical Outcome deck in action. Andrew has given Kevin a lot of time.
Though on turn 4, no Reservoir, so it's going to be a little bit before he's comboing off.
He's got a Paradoxical Outcome in hand. I'm interested to see when he'll use it. And now it's the first clock from Andrew, so we're going to see Gideon.
I would counter this spell.
He'll Anticipate. See if he can find a Rebuke. Andrew's hand is 6 lands.
Oh, wow.
Actually, so when he didn't take Heart of Kiran, it wasn't that he needed the land. It was the other problem, was that he couldn't crew it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Will Gideon resolve? There was no Metallic Rebuke, though. And if you have 6 lands, you know, Gideon's pretty good.
Yes.
We'll go back to Kevin. I'm going to say, I want this deck to be good. But if Kevin can't race, I turn 4 Gideon on the draw, then I'm skeptical.
Yes.
You know, my combo deck needs to be able to beat that.
All right.
Just Bonesaw Crush of Tentacles from Kevin. So
it's a combo deck. That's a combo, you see.
This is so good. He gets an 8/8. He bounces everything. He bounces all these Bonesaws back to his hand.
Oh, wow. And Jessup, okay, so Jessup does have double white because he has the planes there.
Yeah.
But it was entirely possible that he might have needed the Oath of Nissa to cast Gideon again, but he's able to do it.
Well, he does get the Oath back, okay?
Yes.
Okay, this is so good. All right, Andrew's going to replay 3-Bit Spectre, replay Gideon, say go.
Gideon able to generate a stream of chump blockers for this octopus, so he's got that going on.
For those of you familiar with our last open here in Richmond, Jacob Hagan over in the Beach Mix area just cheering on this Crush of Tentacles right now.
I saw some hands go up, looked over, of course it was Jacob.
He was the second place finisher with Crush of Tentacles last time we were here. All right. So into this. That was out of the sideboard. Here comes the 8/8. The Thraben Inspector has to block. He must protect Gideon. From the Kraken.
Crush of Tentacles is sweet.
When you have 0 mana cards, that's really a good. 5 mana bounce everything, make an 8/8. It's really good.
I like everything that is happening right now.
Okay, Ornithopter from Kevin. All right, what are you doing next? Why, you know?
Well, he might just be going down to 7 cards by casting this Ornithopter. He did just pick a bunch up.
You're right. You're right.
Good morning, players. 11 a.m.
Oh, storm counter. All right, yeah, yes, yes. Yes, I love it when We don't get to see this counter enough in Standard. I'm such a fan. 1, 2. Here's Bonesaw. Yes, let's do this.
Why didn't he use this for his Crush of Tentacles turn? It has Surge. See, I cast a spell.
We did. What? Oh, yeah. He equips. Now we play the Cathar's Shield. 3. Oh, he's got Aetherflux Reservoir in hand. So I want to see how he sets up his combo turn. Okay, looks like just plays the 3 and says go. Left up 4 blue. This, to me, seems like he's going to block and Paradoxical outcome everything.
Yeah, looks a lot like that.
This is so good. Just so good. He's going to draw so many cards, Ryan.
Yeah.
It's gonna be glorious.
I'm not gonna tell you that I'm not jealous right now.
This is how I'm spending next Friday. Absolutely.
I already kind of made plans to play the 8 Burning Tree Emissary deck in Modern, but this
is better.
This might change my mind.
This is better. I'm now doing Standard F&M. Modern can wait. Here's Nissa from Andrew. He finds it off Oath of Nissa. But Kevin's reaching that point where Andrew's plays just seem feeble here, right?
Yeah.
Like, Kevin's just going to win the game.
Exactly. Andrew needs to have some way to interact with the reservoir and the combo. And as we saw, his answer is sorcery speed. He has sideboard Fragmentize. He doesn't have appetite for the unnatural. He doesn't have anything he can do at instant speed. So if Kevin says, all right, I'm ready, I'm going to combo kill you, it's just going to happen.
You're looking at Andrew, that's the face of a man who knows, oh man, this is bad.
I can't believe this is happening to me right now.
I don't know if this deck's real, but I think I might lose a game to it. Gideon pluses into a 5/5. He'll attack. It's interesting. This damage could matter. Mm-hmm. All right. He attacks Kevin down to 13.
Jessup both trying to win the game and also getting in these chip shots for a significant amount of damage. It forces Kevin to cast more spells to actually kill with the reservoir.
This is so good. All right, so there's the Nissa that Andrew found. So plus and make a plan. But remember, I was actually surprised that Kevin took this damage. I thought he was going to block and Paradoxical outcome. And here's Walking Ballista from Andrew. It's for 1.
I'm kind of surprised that Jessup hung his Knight ally back and then cast Nissa in the second main phase. Like, he definitely wants to chump block that octopus, protect his planeswalkers.
So here's Paradoxical outcome, drawing 3 and bouncing Kevin's things. So if this was his play, he could have gained 5 life, but that might not matter in the grand scheme of things. Mm-hmm. Maybe the flexibility's better. I do see what you're saying, though, where we'll see if any of Andrew's blockers matter, though, right?
Well, Kevin doesn't know that Andrew's only answer to Aetherflux Reservoir is a sorcery speed spell. So now he knows that Jessup is tapped out, which he didn't do in his first main phase.
All right. Here we see Inspiring Statuary. Now everything has Improvise. Well, the non-artifacts have Improvise, and there's no way for him to cheat costs on the reservoir. I think everything else, yes.
Yes. Yep, that one's always going to cost 4.
The 8/8. Kevin thought about attacking with his 8/8, but that's not looking that good anymore.
Plenty of chump blockers hanging out over there.
You do have to worry here about that Westvale Abbey. That could mean something. We see Ornithopter now from Davis. Storm to 2. Ornithopter, Storm to 3. How is he going to cast? I don't see how he's going to get that reservoir into play, Ryan. That's my issue here. This is great. I love the storm we're building here.
Yeah, on this turn, I just don't think he's going to be able to.
Okay, Paradoxical. This is great. Can't tell you how big of a fan I am, but I don't see how we're winning. Not yet. Oh, if he gets Baral's Expertise, he can cheat. There we go. That's what he draws into Baral's Expertise. He then uses all the artifacts to improvise Baral's Expertise and puts the reservoir into play.
All right, I love that.
This is so good. Oh my gosh, he's got 2.
Yeah, there's 2 copies in the main deck.
Yeah, that's how this is so good.
He is drawing a lot of cards. There's no guarantee that he's able to find it even drawing a lot, but I do like the plan here. Then at
He
least
storms at 6. If he can find Baral's expertise, this is done.
Yep.
I don't think he did. He's got 2 more paradoxical outcomes, though, so, like, he, he could just make a bunch of blockers, a bunch of creatures, block everything, paradoxical them all. I think he's fine.
He's certainly not going to die on the following turn.
Right. Yeah, the play I'd like to make is to make a ton of blockers, block everything on Andrew's turn, paradoxical everything back to his hand, and go for it again next turn. If he didn't find Baral's expertise, that seems to be the way to go.
Yep.
Remember, that's another way to get around that pesky hand limit, you know?
Just put it on the table. Doesn't cost anything to cast an Ornithopter.
dump all the artifacts. So he replays the 4/0 mana artifacts. He's down to 7 cards in hand, and then he says go. So he has held up. Yeah, he does have at least 1 paradoxical in his hand, so that'll be a draw 4. Yeah, remember, he can't get a card off that Kraken token because it is non-land, non-token permanence. But he has a draw 4. He has that outcome in his hand.
Draw 4 is pretty good. Tap 2 islands for that effect.
1 island. 1 island.
Sure. Whatever, man.
In case we draw into anticipate, then we can cast it off the statuary and the other island. See?
When you're right, you're right. I got
You're not thinking big enough.
This deck it exceeds my skill as a player.
We go over to Andrew. Taps 2 here to crack a clue. Now he's looking at his attacks. He's still got 4 mana for Ballista. He hasn't used Nissa yet either.
Nissa and Ballista is a combo.
Yeah, it might be that Andrew wants to make that play to get rid. If Kevin casts Paradoxical Outcome, Andrew might blow up an Ornithopter in response. Just limit that card draw.
Keep him off of a card.
I mean, it's probably right.
Keep him off his storm card. Well, yeah, I mean, he's not killing Kevin, right? You may as well. And -2 Nissa seems like the play on this board.
It looks pretty good.
If your plan is to just go wider than these things, I just don't think that Andrew has enough time. Kevin has drawn a lot of extra cards in this game, and he is threatening to draw even more. Jessup has to figure that he has 1 or 2 turns, and that's counting this current turn.
Like I said, there's as soon as Kevin finds a Baral's expertise, that turn is going to be the end of the game.
Yep.
He'll bounce Andrew's things, sneak that reservoir into play.
And could I be more excited? No.
No, this is
peak.
So here's the combo. He gets this card. He taps 2 islands, and he improvises the rest of the mana. He bounces Andrew's things, and then he puts the reservoir into play off that second half of this card. Once the Flux Reservoir is into play, he recasts all these 0 mana cards and just gains a lot of life and 50s Andrew.
And Andrew casting Verdurous Gearhulk. I think this makes a lot of sense. He just wants to
put it all on the Ballista as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then Nissa will mine it. So this is the most damage he could push. It's the most aggressive line.
Love it.
Yeah, this seems great. I imagine he'll kill all the Ornithopters in response to the Paradoxical Outcome. Just less cards, less cards, less cards.
Yep. I mean, he either has lethal this turn or he doesn't. Ooh, he's going for this main phase.
Well, hold on. If he removes all these blockers, it still does not appear to be lethal.
He can't remove the octopus. He does have. He has a lethal amount of it, a lethal power. He just can't get through all of these blockers to make that actually be realized.
Yeah. Okay, so it looks like they're wondering what responses are. So the 1 damage to the Ornithopter, 2nd point to the Ornithopter. Now here's the crunch time. Does Kevin bounce?
If he bounces both Ornithopters, or if Jessup currently uses the Ballista. So right now he has a 6-power Gideon, a 3-power Night Ally, and a 1-power Plant, a 4-power Ballista that are all going to attack.
The Charger was a 6. It got all 4 of the Gearhulk counters. It got a counter off the Nissa. So it removed 1 to ping 1 to the Ornithopter, and now Andrew's saying remove a second one, second damage to Ornithopter, question mark, and now Kevin's deciding.
Yep. Yeah, so Jessup's going to be shy of lethal this turn, but he's able to do a lot of damage.
Yeah, he's setting up, he should be lethal next turn, right?
Right.
This next turn is one player will win, we'll see who it is. Paradoxical outcome in response to the second charger activation. And Kevin is going to cast Paradoxical outcome. He has to tap 3 of his artifacts to do it. He'll probably just tap the equipment and the Ornithopter, I believe the one that's being targeted.
Right.
Yeah, they're all getting bounced anyway. So he bounces all 4 cards, draws 4.
Yeah, Jessup's concern, as you can see, was just with blockers. Yeah, Kevin can draw those cards, that's fine.
Ryan, I kind of wanted Andrew to kill all the Ornithopters in response to that card.
Yeah.
Like, I actually might, what about just like all 4 counters, kill both Ornithopters, you only draw 2?
You stop him from drawing more extra cards, you stop him from having Ornithopters for the reservoir.
I know that saying you're stopping him from having Ornithopters sounds kind of silly, but I think it might matter here. That's the linchpin.
Yeah. He needs a lot of spells to actually kill in the next turn, but just having, 5 or 6 and gaining a lot of life is still really good for Kevin here.
So a swing from Andrew Jessup. The Gideon is blocked, and it looks like Kevin takes 4 from the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage, goes to 5. Only 4 counters on the archive, so he's at 1. At 5 and a virtual 1 if Andrew wants to make it that.
And Andrew's already used all of his mana, so he can't produce another counter for the Ballista.
Yeah, he's going to finish off the Octopus token. That's fine. So now Kevin's just got to win here. Or I guess if he finds Crush of Tentacles, that's good enough.
You can reset things.
Well, no, he'd still die to the Ballista. Andrew would shoot him for 1, bounce everything, play an 8th land, play it on 4, deal 4 more.
That would do it.
Yeah, so you got to win now, Kevin. Show us what your deck does. Look at all these bone saws and reservoirs and ornithopters. He's got some Crush of Tentacles in his hand.
When you have this many cards in your hand and any number of them are bone saw and you're not winning,
Your decks, you're not doing it right.
pretty skeptical. All right.
Aetherflux Reservoir. We're going to gain some life. All right, Storm is 1.
Yes.
All right, it's game time. Bonesaw, all right. Gain 2, up to 7. This is great. Bonesaw, gain 3. So what we're looking at here, because starting with a second spells, if he can play 9 spells this turn, he will gain 44 life, and 10 spells will gain 54 life.
Your math checks out.
Well, I should hope so.
I assume. I didn't actually double check.
Yeah, I was like, so this is a total of 14 life gained. So he's played 5 0-mana cards after the Reservoir. So we'll make that total of 20 gained. These are triangular numbers if you're following with us.
That could mean anything.
I could have just made that up. And Baral's expertise, this is great. He's bouncing 3 of his own artifacts to his hand. And I think if this resolves, he's going to put another Reservoir into play, which is definitely lethal.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, no, this is really lethal. This is spell number 7. He can. Okay, Andrew's saying, no. Kill some of your things in response. Stop.
If you were wondering what Baral's expertise is,
it's gonna win. It's gonna win so much.
It's combo killing. That's what he excels
at. So those
at.
bounce, and now he can put something into play. How about another Reservoir?
Boom.
That doesn't. So he doesn't actually get that Storm trigger off it because he. No, you may cast. It counts. It counts. Okay, so now this one gains 9 twice. It gains 18. Now, yeah, that's game. Kevin Davis takes that one.
Yes.
Going to game 3. We did it.
I don't know if it's the best deck in the format.
Oh, it's got to be. It's just this. He broke it.
But I want to watch this all day.
All right. So Kevin Davis evens things up.
And how important,
Woo!
how strong, I love this Crush of Tentacles sideboard plan.
I mean, the turn 5 where Kevin's play was Bonesaw, Crush of Tentacles, that was sweet.
That's a combo. 0 mana artifact, surge spell. Your turn.
I mean, Andrew had a reasonable board. It bounced everything and then made this 8/8. It took Andrew a good 2 or 3 turns to beat through that.
And I like it in the sideboard too, because there's decks that's not going to matter against. This heavy Planeswalker aggressive deck that's kind of mid-range, great. Love this plan.
Wow, okay. They're guys going to get ready for a game 3 with 15 minutes to remain. As they do, remember, we will have this archive. All of this glorious match of Paradoxical will be available on YouTube, of course. It starts next week. You can find that on YouTube, coverage of all our previous events, in addition to the Versus series we have on the Star City Games, our Commander Versus series, Magic Online Plays testing, and then Best of the SCG Tour and more. So you can subscribe today at youtube.com/Star City Games.
Jeremy Knowles split second, also a feature. That one's pretty cool.
Can't respond to that one.
No, it just happens.
Yeah, that's why the comments on it are closed, is what I heard, right?
Comments are disabled, and everybody just knows what's in it.
If you type
knowledge.
a mana ability into the comments, that's okay.
Yes, we are only accepting comments in the form of mana abilities and
triggers
and flipping up morphs.
Yes, you can unmorph in the comments.
Static abilities play.
All right, so Andrew's gonna be back on the play, and okay, as glorious as that game was for Kevin Davis, his deck looks real slow, Ryan. Remember that Andrew's play that game was turn 1 Thraben Inspector, turn 2 double Oath of Nissa, turn 3 crack a clue, do nothing else, turn 4 Gideon on the draw. That is slow.
Well, when you look at Jessup's deck list and certainly his sideboard, he's expecting to play a lot of mid-range mirrors. And he has a plan for that. He has a plan to sideboard to be better in those matchups. He has close to nothing for a deck like this.
Well, it's like, okay, but here's my issue, right? Andrew had a very slow hand on the draw, and he got Kevin Davis to 1. So I love combo decks, but there's one thing. When I play a combo deck against a green-white deck, I want to win the race, okay? And I'm not sure Kevin does it.
I'm slightly skeptical of playing fewer than 4 reservoirs.
We'll see. All right, Andrew has his 1-drop for the 3rd game in a row. It's Thraben Inspector. Last game, that was his only threat for a really long time. We'll see if he can do better.
I would hope so.
Not yet. We're looking at Oath of Nissa.
This looks pretty familiar.
But Lambholt Pacifist and Gideon and Tireless Tracker in this. You see Andrew going straight for Lambholt Pacifist. That he certainly wants a clock.
Would have been better as a draw step for the turn because he could actually cast
and then
it.
next turn he cracks the clue, and he should have played it that way.
So if you are wondering if Andrew Jessup stacks his deck, the answer is obviously no.
Kevin, land, draw. You see his hand's got an Ornithopter, an Anticipate. Just all the goods. Thraben Inspector swings in. Kevin Davis down to 18.
He's got modern playable Ornithopter.
3rd land from Jessup, and now he will play Lambholt Pacifist. We saw last game this meant that Kevin Davis had to do some fancy sequencing. You see he end-step anticipates. He may have even wanted to do something like main phase anticipate if he doesn't have a play next turn.
Yeah. He's got to have something for 0 he can cast.
Land here. He's got a lot of Paradoxical outcomes in hand. 3 mana. He'll go for... Oh, this is great. This is great. It is the Inspiring Statuary. And then also an Ornithopter. I'm curious, does that make sense to you? We're playing Ornithopter here.
No, I don't understand that.
No, I mean,
it blocks,
we got to figure it out.
It blocks Thraben Inspector.
Oh, wow. Are we just playing that as a way to block? We could have done that on turn 1. we could be at 20, Ryan.
Took 2 damage for nothing.
I always wish that Ornithopter had flash for that play, right?
Why?
just imagine, okay, you turn 2, you attack that Thraben Inspector, and just flash an Ornithopter into play, just gotcha.
Practically a Kasali ambusher.
Well, I mean, I don't think it would be too good with flash, okay? It would just be sweet.
I'm inclined to agree.
Declaration in stone on the Ornithopter. Boom.
Has that ever happened in the history of Magic? Is that a first?
You know, most times I'm really happy. And Andrew, by casting that Declaration in Stone, he didn't get to flip his pacifist. So now Kevin is, wait,
wow.
the clue plays. Okay, yeah, the clue makes mana. Oh, wow.
That is quite the drawback.
Ornithopter, Glimmer of Genius for 1. Thanks for the clue.
Jeez.
Kevin he's already won the tournament. All right, just no need for the rest of the weekend. We'll just be
give this man the trophy, cut him a check. We're done.
We'll just be here proxying some blue cards. Don't mind us. That's a Glimmer. All right, he scries at the bottom, then draws a pair of islands. Okay.
Likely not what we're looking for. Kevin's deck only plays 20 lands.
Yeah. So he plays the 4th land, can say go. He does. It's not so bad here. He's got 2 energy now. I don't think that plays at all. No. But what? Okay. He's got at least 1 outcome in his hand, and he has that clue he can crack. Looks like he has 2 Paradoxical Outcomes, Island, and Baral's Expertise in hand.
And as of now, he's still at 17. He has some time.
He would really like it if that Pacifist didn't flip.
Yes. And he's already cast Glimmer. He's cast a spell.
You see, we go back to Andrew, and he really slowly untaps his lands. The kind of, okay, this isn't a situation Andrew's been in before.
Looks to be some confusion here. Perhaps Kevin is stopping Andrew on his upkeep.
Well, nothing's going to flip. Glimmer was cast main phase. Yeah, some sort of judge call. We'll figure out what that is. Oh, he had played 2 lands that turn on accident. Okay, so Kevin will get a warning for that.
Yep.
For all the guys catching it on Twitch, thank you very much as well.
Can't do that.
All right, now here's a big one. It is the Verdurous Gearhulk from Andrew Jessup. This will put counters everywhere. On top of that, it's a 4-power creature, so Lamhout Pacifist is able to attack.
Yep.
Big damage from Jessup.
Turn the heat up on this clock.
All right. He's dividing it evenly, making both his creatures into 4s, swinging for 8. Javis will go down to 9.
And now Jessup has a lethal attack on the following turn. Davis has to do something.
He will. Looks like he's thinking about cracking a clue. He's deciding between that and outcome. He goes for clue. Draws Aetherflux Reservoir. Great. He has Baral's Expertise as well, so he has that 1-2 punch. He can make Andrew pick up his whole board.
Love it.
Or maybe just some of the board. We'll see what he wants to do. Kevin's got plays. Here is, okay, so we're Storm Token is out. 1 spell. It's going to be the Shield. Remember, the blue spells all have, we get to do this. Blue, 3, Baral's Expertise. We're improvising it. Bounce 3, put a 4-mana card into cast a 4-mana spell for free. Is he going to bounce Andrew's things or his own things? Can he win here?
Exactly. The question that he's weighing, is Jessup dead or is he dead? If he's dead, he bounces Jessup's stuff. If Jessup's dead, he bounces his own stuff.
Well, he can bounce all his own things. Yeah, he's going to bounce Lamholt Pacifist, it looks like.
So this is interesting.
I think his own 0-mana cards are pretty good targets here.
He leaves Jessup with 8 power, and he's at 9. Though with this line, if he doesn't generate some blockers, gain some life, he has some problems with walking Ballista.
He's fine. So he plays the Reservoir spell 3, or spell 4 is Ornithopter, gains 4, goes to 13.
All right.
I think he could win this turn still.
He's at least gotten himself out of range of dying.
5 is the Shield. Go to 18. He's got Paradoxical Outcome. Yeah, 4 mana, Paradoxical Outcome. Now, how much does he bounce here is the real question. That's the 6th spell. He's going to go to 24. Certainly the 0-mana cards does... I was wondering whether or not the Statuary was going to come as well.
If he already had another outcome in hand...
Okay, Bonesaw, that's 7, goes to 31. I think he's down at Ryan. Ornithopter, spell 8, goes to 39. He needs 2 more. I think he's got it. Yeah, Shield. Spell number 9 goes to 48.
He's got some kind of blue
If it's a blue card, he can improvise it.
he can cast whatever that is.
Another paradoxical outcome. That's going to do it.
certainly
And
enough.
Andrew extends the hand, and it
Wow.
is Kevin Davis. Paradoxical outcome, taking the first match.
Maybe it is the best deck in the format.
Oh, man. And you can see Andrew on his face. What just happened? I mean, I guess.
So Jessup, his main deck is sideboard. It's
Whew.
clear that he had a plan for what he expected to face. This is a blind spot. This
Yeah,
is
I just
not,
didn't know.
This was not on his map.